obviously we do Pistons and Pretzels with Polestar today, and it's become this kind of annual thing also to do it here in Sweden. So we're super happy to do it with you guys. You obviously have become quite successful with that as well. I mean, especially in our little design community, Polestar is constantly ranked on the highest levels. We've seen this, of course, with the Designer's Choice Awards as well that we had a few months ago. How difficult was it to achieve something like that? Of course, with Thomas as a CEO, who is a designer, being or like thinking on this design overall level obviously helps a lot. But how was it different, for example, compared to Volvo, or also what you see now with other companies within the Geely group, that you can take this front runner role? Because this doesn't happen from one day to another.
No, and of course, you're not planning on that. This is something, the constellation, of course, Thomas was very freeing for us as a team. I mean, he let us really push the boundary a lot, and he pushed himself. I think that really helps. If you don't have this, let's say, natural skepticism in a management team, is like, is this really necessary? Do we really need to go that far? But rather the opposite, really being open and being very design driven. So that helps. And then I think that I was lucky to find a very, very talented team. And we also got to know each other very well. The characters are very special people. And then we let them show what they can do. And I think for me, this is a very important balance, that you have to understand that if you are leading a team, no matter if you're the CEO or if you're the head of design, or even if you're a designer yourself, you never get what you want. But that's the beauty of it. You get a mixture of everybody's beliefs and thoughts and vision and opinion. And in the end, if you curate it right, it's a beautiful thing.
Max, let's talk about Polestar and a design-driven company, because you guys are kind of the big role model for a lot of companies in the automotive design world. And if we walk into the Cube or also in the design studio, it seems like everything is really on brand, on point. The proportions, even when you go to a cupboard in the kitchen, fits perfectly with, like, you know, the font and everything that you have. How easy / difficult is to bring something like this to life for you as a designer, also to kind of develop? And also, what did you do to make it different from other car design studios, maybe? Because you really are, I mean, the front runner in terms of this overall holistically directive of a traditional car design company / a car design company in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the recognition. I mean, but to be honest, a lot of it is Thomas, I have to say. I mean, just his mindset and his dedication to design, obviously, since he is a designer, makes it very easy to implement these things pretty much everywhere in the company. And we have this like triangle between Thomas being the CEO, myself being in charge of the design for all the products, and then Per, who is head of brand. And Per has been a part of the team since the beginning, pretty much. And he is very much responsible to make sure that everything is aligned across, not only when it comes to marketing, obviously, as you said, the brand, but also those things like coffee cups and additionals and architecture. So we have in Per's team, which is part of the marketing team, but it's called brand. There are people that work very closely with my team, and this closeness between the teams and this mutual respect, since we all started basically from the beginning working on this brand, I think that makes it rather easy to implement this. The trickier part, I would say, from a company perspective, is the challenge to maintain that level of detail focus in the expansion when it comes to the markets, when it comes to the marketing in specific markets, when it comes to the space operations, which are the showrooms and so on. So, I mean, the bigger the organization, the more individualism you have in the far corners of the universe, basically. And that is the challenge, I think, for the brand team and for mostly the brand police, I would say in a joking way, to really keep it so stringent.
So Max, what I realized when we, as in I would say Polestar and Konzepthaus rather than the two of us, because that's, fortunately we have some support in doing that. started organizing the P&P together, I really realized how every single employee kind of bought into the design and the details and the brand language and everything that comes along with that. I don't really see that anywhere else. And I would like to say about myself, I get to travel quite a bit and I get to see quite a few OEMs as well. How do you get people to kind of get involved in that as well? Is this something that's happened somewhat forced, or is it just living by example? What do you do that people just buy into that? Because it's not a normal thing. It's almost like more than a job for a lot of people.
Well, thanks first of all for the compliment, because that is definitely the aim and has always been the aim to create such a holistic design focus in the company. But I have to say that starts with Thomas for sure. And I think we set the whole organization up in a way that they understand the importance of design. They live it, they breathe it, and it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even I would say that people come here with the mindset that this is important and that this is something we need to all together focus on.
How is, just from a day-to-day activity, how is the design community in general in Gothenburg? I mean, there's a lot of OEMs here now. You have Polestar, you have Volvo, you have Lynk & Co, you have Zeekr. Is there a lot of day-to-day exchange, or are events like, Pistons and Pretzels, but maybe other things as well, essential to kind of bring the people together and say, like, there is way for us to kind of say hello and catch up? Because probably for you as managers, it's a little bit easier, but for like the normal teams, it's probably not always as easy to kind of say hello to each other and kind of pop into the studios as you kind of expect it would be.
Definitely. I mean, community events are always welcome, for sure. We have a long way to go as brands and as groups to really consolidate and become more focused on being one entity rather than different little studios cooking their own soup. But that's another story. But hey, why not start in the community and bring people together outside of work as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think outside work is a really important factor for that as well, because we tend to go back into the hamster wheel quite heavily, and having a little bit of space outside to kind of catch up and see friends. I mean, that's always what I enjoy, is when you go to an event and we see each other at a car show or something like that, and just there's an embrace and you kind of just happy to bump into each other, and it's not really about work per se. It's more just about, hey, how is everything else and how do you do? And that's, for me personally, one of the key points that we need to create, I think, a little bit more. And especially in the group functions as well, to kind of create these exchanges.